All right, Croc, what do you see as the biggest key matchup here for the 49ers against the Chicago Bears Sunday?
I think it's always easy to talk about, taking care of the ball, winning the turnover battle. But when you look at the 49ers game against the Buffalo Bills, and albeit it was in a snowstorm, the one thing that really hurt them were the turnovers. I mean, just the fumbles. They fumbled, three times in that game, multiple times on special teams. Ball slips out of a quarterback's hand. You got to fumble near the red zone as you think you're going into the end zone. Those things just can't happen. And if you look at Chicago Bears team, they seem like a team. You got a young quarterback, can get after a little bit. Can you force him to make a throw where maybe he's just a little confused and take the ball away? As a 49ers team, you're hoping you can do that. And if you can, you got to make sure you're not doing anything to help this guy, to give him confidence. Because I've watched a lot of Caleb Williams throughout the years, whether it's at USC or with the Chicago Bears now, and he can get hot. Once he starts getting that confidence, he starts throwing that rock around. Talked about, that last drive starting on the 4-yard line. I mean, he was throwing seeds, boom, 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 and moving them down the field. So you can't give him confidence. Now, I've also seen the other side of it where it looks like he's a little all over the place. And that's where he starts to take sacks. He starts to hold on to the ball too long. He's a little unsure of what he's seeing. You got to make sure that you take his confidence early in this game. And to do that, you got to take the ball away. So 49ers have to make sure that they take care of the ball. Don't give this kid confidence and more opportunities, because then he'll end up burning you.
Lauren, what do you see? What kind of key matchups are you looking for in this game? And a sub question for you that I want to make sure we cover is DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. They look like they're even going to play. And Caleb Williams aside, do they have enough firepower to take advantage of a banged up 49ers defense?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with this. I mean, I can't sit here and complain about injuries for the Chicago Bears because, I mean, look who I'm talking to here. But, when you start the first week of Thomas Brown's interim head coaching job with your Wednesday injury report having no DJ Moore, no Keenan Allen, no DeAndre Swift, no Roschon Johnson, you'd be on your number 3 running back and your number 3 wide receiver at the top of the list there, then most likely you're going to get at least a few of those guys. You're not going to be completely depleted there. Thomas Brown has said, none of those guys are ruled out for Sunday. There's a chance all of them could play. They're just going to sort of take it easy here. I'd be surprised if DJ Moore doesn't go. He's been kind of banged up all year and has just kind of played through it for the most part. So I think he'll be able to go. And between Roschon Johnson and DeAndre Swift, one of them should be good to go, and you can get by if you're missing the other one there. So I don't think they're going to be horribly depleted on offense. And again, no room to complain about being horribly depleted on offense. But I think Croc was right. Like, you got to be able to get Caleb Williams into a rhythm here early. Against the Detroit Lions, the Bears had 1 first down in the entire first half and went into halftime down 16-0. They still had a chance to win it at the end of the fourth quarter because of how great Caleb was in the second half. But man, we don't need to make it so difficult for him. He doesn't need to have to be Superman at the end of the fourth quarter 3 straight weeks. Like, if you can just get the running game going a little bit early on, which they've struggled with in recent games, and find some kind of just some quick hitting passes to get something rolling here. This feels like an offense that builds on itself, where if they're not going backwards with a first down penalty or a second down sack, if they could just kind of stack up a check down for 4 yards here, a run for 3 yards there, get you into a third and manageable, like that's where they can kind of get the stone rolling down the hill and build up some momentum here. And they just haven't been able to get out of their own way early in these games. So I look at the Bears against the 49ers, like, don't come out shooting like gangbusters, like you got to try and score a touchdown on the first play. Like, just stack up some positive plays and then let the momentum peel off from Caleb Williams from there as he builds that confidence that Eric was talking about.
Croc, what's it look like? Paint me a picture. 49ers win Sunday over the Chicago Bears. What are they doing differently that they haven't been able to do recently in some of their losses that are stacking up?
I think having more consistent offense and on that side of the ball, just being able to move the ball. We've been privileged to watching the 49ers throughout the years be really good from possession to possession. And this year, it's just been very sketchy. And when they have been hot early on, they haven't been able to mirror that performance and finish hot. And we've seen them blow several leads. So I think for the 49ers offense, you just have to get in the rhythm with the play calling, which again may be difficult when you've been playing without a lot of your stars, the guys you were counting on to be there and help you down the stretch during the season. Defensively, they got to tackle better. Watching them against the Buffalo Bills, I keep wanting to say Chicago Bears, Buffalo Bills, but watching them against the Buffalo Bills, they just didn't want to tackle. And you let Cook just run rampant. You let 22 just run rampant. You can't allow that to happen. And that's been the 49ers really throughout the last few weeks. You watch them against the Green Bay Packers. Packers running back just had his way with the 49ers, Josh Jacobs. And when you look at the Chicago Bears, man, you got Swift. I got Swift on my fantasy team. There have been games where he's gotten hot. There have been games where they've been able to get the ball to him in space in the passing game and have him do damage. They have some weapons offensively. Keenan Allen, watch him start to pick up at different times. Roma Dunze, he's had a couple big games. You cannot allow those guys to get in any kind of a groove. And with the 49ers, I think it starts with being able to stop the running game and maybe make the Chicago Bears one-dimensional. But again, with Swift, he's a dynamic back. That could be a little tough.
Yeah, it's felt like DeAndre Swift's season has just been this weird roller coaster of up and down where like started out really slow and then was hot for like 3 or 4 weeks and then kind of disappeared for a while and then had another big game against the Green Bay Packers and now is kind of disappearing again, where each and every week we're not really sure exactly what we're going to get. You see almost a different level of confidence from him too, in some of the same ways we talked about with Caleb, where he's either decisive and attacking it or he's really hesitant and just not getting upfield and taking the yards that are there.
Is that an issue up front? Because I know, we talk every single offseason, it feels like, about the Bears rebuilding their offensive line. Is it a young quarterback holding on to the ball too much? Is it just a weird running back who's really hot and cold? Is it an offensive line thing, or is it everything? Obviously, they thought it was partially an offensive coordinator thing.
Yeah, I think it was partially an offensive coordinator thing for sure. It's definitely sometimes an offensive line thing and sometimes a DeAndre Swift thing. I mean, sometimes it's just you're going 3 and out on 4 straight drives, so you just never really have a chance to actually get that running back going. You hand it off on first down, he gets 2 yards. It's 2nd and 8, you got to throw that's incomplete pass. It's 3rd and 8, you're definitely not going to hand it off then. So then Swift never gets going, Caleb never gets going, and it just sort of builds on itself in that way. I mean, and sometimes it's been quality of opponent. He run on some really bad run defenses and takes off, and then when they play a couple of really good defenses in the Vikings and Lions, it's a little bit harder for him to get going.
Lauren, are you advising your Locked On Bears listeners to take those extra 4.5 points and bet on the Bears against the 49ers?
If there was ever a week for them to end this losing streak, this feels like the right concoction here of 49ers in a little bit of free fall here, maybe some questions about how dedicated they are to fighting hard the rest of the season versus maybe phoning it in a little bit just because of the injuries and everything. And you get the post head coach bump here. Like, man, this was the game on the schedule preseason I think Bears fans were dreading the most. It was like, man, you got 3 divisional games and then the 49ers and then 2 divisional games. Like, that's murderer's row. And all of a sudden, this is like the easy game, or the easiest game, I should say, left on the schedule here, where you're like, oh, maybe they can catch a little breather against the 49ers. It shouldn't be as hard in this game as it has been the last 2 or 3 weeks against divisional opponents. So it's hard to see a team that's lost 6 in a row and say, yes, this is going to be for sure the one that they win, but it's as good of a chance for a Bears win coming into this game as any we've had in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm buying the head coach bump here, and I'm thinking it's not going to be a blowout or some kind of just super dominant Bears victory like there's some brand new team, but like the difference has been razor thin the last 3 weeks. And I think this can be enough to push them over the edge and win still a close, hard fought game with plenty of sloppy mistakes in it, but a win instead of a loss at the very end.
Well, if you think that the 49ers fans wanted Kyle Shanahan out before this game, they lose to the Chicago Bears, all hell is going to break loose.
Yeah, because 49ers fans are looking at the playoff odds and they're thinking, okay, well, you got, of course, going to beat the Bears, got to beat this team, might lose to the Lions, but got to win all the rest of them. Then you can still make the playoffs 9 and 8, and that falls apart real quick if you lose in Week 14 to the Chicago Bears. And I think a lot of 49ers fans that are still have some hope for the season that they're going to flip the switch and turn this thing on. A loss this week would really crush those thoughts. And to be honest with you, yeah, the interim bump, 4.5 points. The way the 49ers are playing right now, I don't think that's terrible money with the way things are going. But the 49ers still have an opportunity. Mathematics are still on their side for now. We'll see how it goes on Sunday. Should be fun.